High General Volkov, a man forged in the fires of war, ruled with an iron fist. His eyes, cold and calculating, saw only enemies and obstacles. Volkov cared nothing for peace treaties, for diplomacy, for the sanctity of life itself. He craved power, dominance, and the subjugation of all who dared oppose him. His nation, once a beacon of prosperity and progress, had become a machine of war, its gears grinding relentlessly under his command. Volkov's ambition knew no bounds. He longed to expand his empire, to paint the world in the colors of his tyranny. His generals, eager to please their ruthless leader, carried out his orders with chilling efficiency. Dissent was met with swift and brutal retribution, silencing any whisper of opposition that dared to surface. Fear became the currency of the realm, buying obedience at the cost of freedom. The neighboring nation of Eldoria, a peaceful land known for its rolling hills and vibrant culture, became the target of Volkov's insatiable hunger for conquest. He saw their prosperity as an insult, their pacifism as weakness. Eldoria, he believed, would be the first domino to fall in his quest for global domination. Eldoria, once bathed in sunlight and laughter, found itself shrouded in the shadows of war. Volkov's forces, like a plague of locusts, descended upon their peaceful land, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. Villages were reduced to smoldering rubble, their inhabitants scattered to the winds. Fields of golden wheat, once symbols of abundance, were trampled under the weight of tanks and heavy artillery. The skies, once painted with the vibrant hues of sunrise and sunset, were choked with smoke and the stench of burning flesh. The cries of the innocent, their lives torn apart by Volkov's merciless assault, echoed through the valleys, a haunting testament to the horrors of war. Eldoria, once a sanctuary of peace, had become a battleground, its beauty scarred by the wounds of conflict. The rivers, once teeming with life, ran red with the blood of the fallen. The whisper of the wind, once carrying the sweet melodies of birdsong, now carried the deafening roar of explosions. Volkov's war machine, relentless in its pursuit of destruction, showed no mercy, sparing neither the young, the old, nor the innocent. Amidst the chaos and despair, a flicker of hope emerged from the ashes. A young boy named Kale, barely old enough to understand the complexities of war, possessed a mind that belied his tender years. Kale was a prodigy, a child touched by a rare and extraordinary intellect. He devoured books like others devoured candy, absorbing knowledge with an insatiable hunger. Kale's world, once filled with the joys of childhood, was shattered by the arrival of Volkov's forces. Forced to flee his home, he witnessed firsthand the brutality of war, the senseless violence that had engulfed his once peaceful nation. The sights and sounds of war, the acrid smell of smoke and the gut-wrenching cries of the wounded, seared themselves into his young mind, leaving an indelible mark. He watched in horror as his friends, his neighbors, his entire world crumbled around him. But within the depths of his sorrow, a spark of defiance ignited. Kale refused to be a victim, a pawn in Volkov's twisted game. He vowed to fight back, to use his extraordinary mind to find a way to stop the madness, to restore peace to his shattered land. The weight of the world, it seemed, rested on Kale's young shoulders. He knew that to defeat Volkov, he needed more than just intelligence. He needed a plan, a strategy to rally the broken remnants of his people and ignite a fire of resistance. He spent countless hours poring over maps, studying military tactics, searching for any weakness in Volkov's seemingly impenetrable armor. He knew that he couldn't defeat Volkov's armies head-on. Their numbers were too great, their weapons too powerful. He had to find a way to outsmart them, to exploit their weaknesses, and turn their own might against them. Kale understood that true power lay not just in brute force, but in the will of the people, in their collective desire for freedom. Kale realized that his greatest weapon was not a sword or a gun, but his mind, his ability to inspire, to unite, to ignite the flames of rebellion. He knew he had to become a beacon of hope for his people, a symbol of defiance against tyranny. Section 5. Whispers of Rebellion. Kale began by gathering information, listening to the whispers of refugees, piecing together the fragments of their shattered lives. He sought out those who had escaped Volkov's clutches, those who had seen the inner workings of his regime. He listened intently to their stories, his mind working tirelessly to connect the dots, to find a way to turn the tide of war. He discovered that Volkov's rule, while absolute, was not without its cracks. There were those within his own ranks who questioned his methods, who yearned for the days of peace and prosperity. Kale realized that these dissenters, these whispers of rebellion, were his greatest hope. Kale knew that he had to reach them, to fan the flames of their discontent into a raging inferno. He began to spread his message of hope and defiance, using his intelligence and charisma to rally those who had lost all hope. He spoke of unity, of courage, of the power of the human spirit to overcome even the darkest of times. Section 6. A symphony of discontent. Word of Cale's message, carried on the winds of change, began to spread like wildfire throughout the occupied territories. People, inspired by his words, began to rise from the ashes of despair. They formed secret networks of resistance, sharing information, sabotaging Volkov's war machine from within. What had begun as a whisper of discontent soon grew into a chorus of defiance, a symphony of rebellion echoing throughout the land. Farmers, merchants, teachers, artists, people from all walks of life, united under Cale's banner of hope. They saw in him a leader, a symbol of their collective desire for freedom. Cale, though young, proved to be a shrewd strategist. He understood the power of propaganda, of turning Volkov's own weapons of information against him. He helped to establish underground printing presses, spreading messages of hope and resistance through clandestine networks. He knew that to defeat a tyrant, he had to first erode the foundation of fear upon which his power rested. Section 7. The walls crumble. As the resistance gained momentum, cracks began to appear in Volkov's regime. His soldiers, demoralized by the constant attacks, began to question the righteousness of their cause. The people, emboldened by Cale's leadership, grew bolder in their defiance, their acts of sabotage becoming more daring, more frequent. Volkov, sensing the ground shifting beneath his feet, became increasingly paranoid. He saw enemies everywhere, his once unquestioning trust in his advisors replaced by suspicion and fear. He tightened his grip on power, but the harder he squeezed, the more it slipped through his fingers. The final blow came when, inspired by Cale's message of hope, key figures within Volkov's inner circle turned against him. They had witnessed firsthand the horrors he had inflicted, the suffering he had caused. They realized that true power lay not in tyranny and oppression, but in justice and compassion. Section 8. Dawn of a new era. With his support crumbling, Volkov's reign of terror came to an end. He was apprehended by his own people, stripped of his power and held accountable for his crimes. The war machine he had built, once a symbol of his might, ground to a halt, its gears rusted and silent. With Volkov gone, a new dawn broke over Eldoria. The people, their spirits unbroken by years of oppression, began the arduous task of rebuilding their shattered lives. The scars of war ran deep, but so too did their resilience, their determination to create a future free from fear and tyranny. Cale, hailed as a hero, knew that the true battle was far from over. The wounds of war ran deep, and the path to lasting peace would be long and arduous. But he also knew that the human spirit, when united in a common cause, possessed an indomitable strength, a capacity for healing and renewal that even the darkest of times could not extinguish. Section 9. Legacy of Hope. In the aftermath of the war, Cale dedicated his life to rebuilding his nation, not with bricks and mortar, but with the far more enduring materials of hope, justice, and compassion. He knew that true peace required more than just the absence of conflict. It required the creation of a society where all voices could be heard, where differences were respected, and where the lessons of the past served as a guide for the future. Cale's story became a beacon of hope, not just for Eldoria, but for people around the world struggling under the yoke of oppression. He showed that even the most formidable of tyrants could be defeated, that even the smallest voice could ignite a revolution, and that the human spirit, when fueled by courage and compassion, possessed the power to overcome even the most daunting of challenges. And so, the tale of Cale, the boy who defeated a tyrant, was passed down through generations, a timeless reminder that even amidst the darkest of times, hope endures, courage prevails, and the human spirit, when united in a common cause, can achieve the impossible.